Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, so that means it's time for our Facebook Live. So whether you are watching the replay or here live with me, I'm so glad that you're here. And I will give a little bit of time for people to hop on and see the notification that we're live. I love Wednesday mornings and being able to share a little bit of creativity with you. It's always a fun time for me, and I hope that you guys enjoy it too, and I hope that you recreate some of the projects that I share. If you do, you're always welcome to post them. Good morning, Judy. I love when you tell me that you're working and watching. Good to see you this morning. All right, well, it is a fabulous Wednesday morning. We've made it halfway through the week. So here we go with some crafting. Now, Dale is with me in the craft room today. We have a lot of prep work that we're working on. You want to say hi, Dale?
Hello.
So let's get started. I do have to tell you, we're going to work a little bit backwards today. Normally, I show you either the project that we're recreating or something similar, but this morning we have some glue that needs to dry before we do the technique. So I'm going to start by putting these circles that were punched from scraps of Designer Series paper onto a piece of cinnamon cider cardstock. So that's what we're going to start with while we let some people join us here for the video. And I'm just kind of arranging. We may move some things around. Definitely want that one to show. So I'll tell you in just a minute what we're actually doing. But we've just punched several pieces of Designer Series paper, just the scraps. It's almost like a little puzzle here. I guess we'll move this one down. May move this one up here, and this one over here. So you don't want to overthink this. You just kind of want to go with it. Get those extra pieces out of the way, and then, like I said, we're going to glue these down. So it's almost like a little bit of a mystery here as we get started. I watched a video the other night. I had trouble sleeping, and so I watched a video, and I cannot remember the demonstrator's name. I'm sorry that posted it, but it was from a couple of years ago. So that's where I learned this little technique. I love that Stampin' Up! Demonstrators are so willing to share ideas. One of the great things about being part of Stampin' Up! You don't have to come up with everything on your own. But I loved what she did. And I think you guys will too, because we all have these paper scraps. And you don't want to throw them away. You want to use them. So this is a fun way. And it adds a little bit of technique too. So initially I was going to make this card. I probably shouldn't have put that much glue on that one. So I want it off the edge just a little bit. Let me see how that's going to affect us. I think we're okay. So I had this planned already. And you guys know that we lost our dog Bob. I guess it's been about 6 weeks ago. And last night I found out that a really good friend of mine and a fellow demonstrator lost her dog, Nelson. And so I thought instead of the card that I was going to do with this paper, we would do a little sympathy card for her. And I do have this little guy that is super cute, but I think that's okay. Even though it's a sympathy card, I think that's going to work. So I'm actually going to just set this aside and let this dry for a minute before we do our technique with it, and I'll bring in a couple of cards that I have done with the same technique and just show you what we're doing. So here I have the Peony Garden designer series paper. And we just did, what was that, World Card Making Day. So I had prepped a lot of things for that, made a lot of cards for that. I think we did 20. So I had a lot of paper scraps from it, and this paper is just gorgeous, and you don't want to throw it away. So what I did was just punched out the 1.5 inch circles with the Peony Garden and then glued them on like we just did. But I want to bring this close because I'm hoping that the Dainty Diamond embossing folder that we ran that through once we had those circles adhered will show up. So this is a very simple card, but I think it really packs a wow with this technique of running it through the embossing folder. And then here I have more of a fall card, but this is with the Plaid Tidings Designer Series paper. And this time I used the hammered metal embossing folder. So hopefully that is showing up for you guys because it looks really cool. So the great thing is you all have scraps of designer series paper that you need to do something with, and you have embossing folders, and you have cardstock, and you don't really need a lot of embellishments. Of course you could add to these cards, you could bling them up if you wanted to, but you don't have to. So that's what I wanted to work on today and just kind of show you a way to use those scraps. So I think that this is probably dry enough. Let me bring in our new Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I'm going to stand up for a minute and make sure this is positioned well. I think it's pretty good. Okay. So we've only had this machine for a couple of months, and I'm loving mine. My other die cut machine was on its last legs when this one came out, and I'm really, really excited about it. It's so easy to use. I love that the sides fold up and it's so compact when I'm not using it, and I can just leave it out on my desk, or you can put it up in on a shelf or in a closet if you wanted to when you're not using it. So you just lay those down. And then another cool feature is Stampin' Up! Has all of the instructions on your base plate. And the plates are numbered and color-coded. And Dale's better. He uses the die cut machine more than I do, to be honest with you. Any tips for them, Dale?
The instructions on that plate number 1 tell you everything you need to know.
Okay, just follow that. And then this is actually the plate that you need when you're embossing. And that's what we're going to do. Oh, for 3D folders, Dale said, yes. And so what I used was the hammered metal embossing folder for that one with the plaid. And then this is one of my favorite new products that I've recently purchased, is the Dainty Diamonds embossing folder. I've used it several times now, and I think that's what we're going to use for this card. And let me see if I can get in the frame here where you can see. I'm just putting that in there with those circles coming off the edge. That's okay. We're going to trim those up in just a minute. So we'll just close it up, put it on our platform, put that top piece on there, and then we'll crank it through. I'm going to go kind of slow so I don't shake the table too much. And it's so cool what this does. So let me get a few things out of the way here. It's nice to have an assistant today. There we go. And I'm going to just fold this up. I don't want it to pop too loud. And then I'll bring this close where you guys can see how cute that is. Really makes a difference. So let me grab some snips, and we are going to just come in and snip off those little edges. I like having some of that come off the edge and not just all the circles. Perfectly placed. I think it looks a little bit more random that way, a little bit more interest to the eye. So you can see that this is a super easy technique, very quick, and like I said, if you guys recreate a card like this, I would love to see it. I just think the possibilities are endless with all the different papers. Get all those scraps out of the way. With all the different papers that we have and different scraps, so color combinations, it just could be a really fun project. This would be great for kids as well. So I'm using a basic black card base, and I will put the measurements for you in the comments. I'll go in and edit that once the video's over. And then we're just going to put a piece of Whisper White on the inside, and I may do a little bit of stamping later before I send the card, but for right now, I'll go ahead and just put this piece on the inside. I received, we received several pet sympathy cards when we lost Bob, and it just means so much to know that somebody cares at a time when you're just grieving the loss of your friend. I know my voice is shaking, I'm sorry. It's just so hard to lose a pet. So my heart just goes out to my friend Christy today. Okay, I think what we're going to do, what I did on those other cards was use some dimensionals and pop that layer up. It just gives it a little bit more pizzazz, and I like that. And I like using dimensionals, let's be honest. One of my favorite products from Stampin' Up. And I hope you know that you can use these borders of your dimensionals too. You can just cut those up and use them as well. Let's find my Take Your Pick tool, and we'll get these backings off. I really like using this, y'all know that. I've told you this 100 times, but it's made a difference not having so many dimensional backs roaming around my house. I think I got them all off. Alright, we're just going to place this, and I may have to bring it up so I can see, get it lined up better. I think that's pretty good. And then let's see, we're going to use, I was going to show you, I used the Hey There, there it is, Hey There, from the Beautiful Autumn on those sample cards that I showed you. And then there's a really nice sympathy sentiment in the Pampered Pets set. So that's what we're going to use this morning for the card that we're working on now. Let me just find a little piece of Whisper White, just a little scrap. I think it's about 3 inches, or maybe about 3/4 or an inch. I'll measure it. And we're just going to ink up this sympathy sentiment that says, always in your heart, so sorry for your loss. Using Memento Tuxedo Black. See if we can get this pretty straight and even. Oh, we did pretty good. I stamped one earlier. I don't know, Dale, which one do you think looks better? The one I just did? Okay, that's the one we'll use. Let me cover my ink pad so I don't have a disaster. And darn it, I meant to put a little bit of twine around there, and I didn't do that. So let's think. I meant to put the twine around before I glued that down. That's okay though. What I'll do is just tousle a little bit of twine back behind. So I like to just kind of wrap that around my fingers. And I think that that will look good. We'll kind of test and see. I have to make that a little bit bigger. I just wrap the twine around my fingers, and then I generally kind of pinch it in the middle a bit, just to kind of wrangle it. I'm not doing a very good job of that this morning though, am I? Yeah, I think that will work. Let's try this again. Let me trim that down. So just kind of pinch it in the middle. I don't know, do you see my Stampin' Seal Plus still? That would probably be the best thing to use. Oh, thank you. This is one of our new adhesives that I'm really loving. It's a nice strong adhesive. So when I do this tousling, I'm going to put some adhesive down, a nice strong one, and I'll lay that piece of twine down so it's a little bit more manageable. And then that way it holds it in place while I come in with my sentiment. And then you can always kind of ruffle this up and work on your twine. Give it a little haircut if you need to once you have your sentiment in place. Let's find dimensionals again. Add our sentiment. And I want to remind you that Designer Series paper, we're having a sale right now. And all of the papers that I've shown you today just so happen to be on that sale. It's 15% off of select Designer Series papers. Let's see, we're going to come in probably right about there. And like I said, you can kind of work with the twine and get it like you want it once you get everything in place, and then you can come in and snip off the ends that are kind of going away. You don't want them. I think that's cute. Now I also used the dog punch to get a couple of little hearts and thought that would kind of be my embellishment for this. I'm going to bring one down here. I think I like it turned a little bit. And then, oh, where'd my other one go? Right here. We'll bring one up here. I think we're done with this card, you guys. I hope you like this little technique, and I'll go ahead and bring in those other two cards so you can see those again. I just think they're so cute and easy to do, and we love using up those paper scraps. I think you could do this with so many shapes. We have the stitch triangles. Gosh, what else still? The tailored tag punch. That would look really cute. A lot of times people put those together almost like a puzzle. What else? You could, pardon me?
Postage stamp.
Oh, yes. We have that postage stamp punch, and that would be really cute. So, like I said, if you create something using this technique, I'd love to see pictures of them. I do have a group called CT's Craft and Connect group. And that's kind of our community there, and you're always welcome to post there, but you can post in the comments below this video as well. I also have that flyer for the Designer Series paper sale, just to remind you, 15% off of select Designer Series papers, and I love that there's several from our holiday catalog. Those are brand new papers that were just released, so very exciting, very exciting. So if you need any Stampin' Up! Supplies, just let me know. I'd love to be your demonstrator if you do not have one, if you need a catalog. And I will see you again next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central Time for another Facebook Live. And I promise to have another fun project for you. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next week.